The iconic Bedchamber sword of Tipu Sultan was auctioned in London on Tuesday for a whopping 145 crore rupees. Tipu Sultan was, of course, an 18th century ruler famous for the commanding role he played in wars in southern India. And here's an interesting fact that has got people talking. This is apparently the same sword that was once owned by fugitive Indian tycoon Vijay Mallya. And here it gets more intriguing. During a hearing of the loan default case at the London High Court in 2018, Mallya's lawyer had claimed that the whereabouts of this sword were not known. What's more, Mallya had even claimed that this priceless artifact had brought him bad luck, and so he had given it away. Speaking to News9 Plus, researcher and historian Nidhan Olikar said this is the very same sword that Vijay Mallya had bought in 2004. The price at which the sword was acquired by Mallya was 1.5 crore. On Tuesday, the same sword was auctioned for a staggering 145 crore rupees. Remember, the former liquor baron owes Indian banks 9,000 crore. In 2016, a consortium of 13 Indian banks had tried to convince the London High Court against reversing an order to freeze Mallya's global assets. Later that year, Mallya claimed that he'd given away the sword as it had brought his family bad luck. News9 contacted the UK-based auction house Bonhams to find out about the previous owners of this sword. The group refused to comment, saying we are not authorized to disclose the identity of our sellers and buyers as it's against our privacy policy. Now, Tipu's sword bought by Vijay Mallya and the one auctioned on Tuesday have the same inscriptions. The sword was presented to Major General Bard and it had Shamsher-e Malik, or the sword of the ruler, inscribed on it. Also seen on the auctioned Tipu sword. The sword was looted from Tipu Sultan's palace by the troops of the East India Company after the fall of Seringamapatnam, in which the Tiger of Mysore, as Tipu Sultan is known, was killed in battle. Since then, the sword had changed hands multiple times before it reached fugitive tycoon Vijay Mallya in 2004. The question is, did Vijay Mallya lie earlier about giving away the Tipu Sultan sword? Is he the one who's auctioned the sword at the sky-high price of 145 crore after having bought it for a mere 1.5 crore? Is it this fugitive who has pocketed this huge profit from the auction proceeds of the priceless artifact and profited from this piece of Indian history? Why is this important? As we mentioned, Vijay Mallya owes Indian banks and taxpayers 9,000 crore. So just what is this curious case of Tipu's sword? If you could explain to our viewers the historical significance of this sword. Correct me if I'm wrong, it was looted by the troops of the East India Company soon after Tipu Sultan was killed in battle.
That's right. So this sword is extremely important. See, there are several swords of Tipu Sultan, all very expensive, but most of them in the royal collection in England, in the Queen's collection, now the King's collection, King Charles collection. There are a few at Powys Castle where Lady Henrietta Clive, that was Lord Clive's daughter-in-law, took with her. There are some in the Army Museum there. But this sword is essentially important because this is considered the sword of state. That's what it says, Shamsher al-Mulk. Mulk or Malik can be read in two ways, or the sword of the state or the sword of the ruler. And this was found in his bedchamber. You know, the Mughals, right from the Mughal time. So, you know, Akbar had would keep a sword, a different sword with him every night. We do not know if Tipu followed this custom, but we know that this particular sword was found by his bedside. And so this has a very important significance, a personal significance to Tipu. It's a very beautiful piece. And the relation to David Baird, because Baird was prisoner for 4 years, you know, the Pollilur, at the Battle of Pollilur in the Second Anglo-Mysore War, where England suffered its biggest defeat in colonial history ever. There was no defeat before that and no such defeat after that. Where the 73rd Highlanders, where Scotsmen, where David Baird was literally wiped out to the last man. And several of them were taken prisoner. So David Baird came back, and 1792 he was there in the Third Anglo-Mysore War, and finally in 1799 where he led a section of the army, and this sword was presented to him. So, you know, it has a significance of saying where all the power and glory of Tipu now goes to the British. So this sword is important. It also has a significance in that.
Clearly, the historical significance of the sword cannot be overstated because, as far as I know, no other Indian artifact has ever gone for a price similar to this 145 crore at an auction. Vajihulla, let me come to you. Not that I'm not interested in history, but the point that interests me, and I'm pretty sure scores of other Indians, is this. Did Vijay Mallya lie when he claimed that he had given away the sword of Tipu Sultan because it had brought him and his family bad luck? This is the claim that he made in 2018. Soon after, there was an order from the London High Court saying that all his global assets should be frozen. Is it possible that it is actually Vijay Mallya who has profited from this auction and made 145 crore for a piece of history for which he had paid a measly 1.5 crore?
Well, now you have to remember that this sword has resurrected after 20 years. I think 2004 was the last when public saw this sword, and after that, nobody had an idea where the sword went. It was only after the entire Kingfisher case came out, Vijay Mallya ran away. That is when his assets were started counting, and that is when the mention of the sword first happened in 2016. Nigel Tossey, the lawyer for the 13 bank consortium, he also mentioned in the court, in the UK court, he first mentioned saying that the court should immediately put a freeze on all the assets because Vijay Mallya is despairing them. So that was the first time we heard of it. After that, in another court, he mentioned that Vijay Mallya is known to keep selling. He said even the details of these swords have not been mentioned properly. He has said that he has sold this sword to somebody. He's given it off to somebody because his family believes it has brought him bad luck. But he has not given them the details of the person to whom he sold it to. Where has the sword gone? If he has given it to somebody, there was no sale deed. Nothing of that sort was presented by Vijay Mallya or Vijay Mallya's lawyer. And it was not just the sword, there was another car also which was mentioned along with the sword when the lawyer mentioned it in the court. But the sword is the one that we're talking about. So even in 2016, the Indians didn't have a clue where the sword went. The only answer we had was Vijay Mallya gave it to somebody because he believed it brought bad luck to his family. Now, after 2016, today is 2023, and after a gap of 7 years, we have seen the sword. We've seen the sword after 20 years. We've got to hear the mention of the sword after 7 years again now. Now, in these 7 years, how many hands did these sword move, or it was hidden by Vijay Mallya and keeping in mind that all his assets have been frozen to get some financial gain, he might have now sold it. Now, all these things are speculations. We are still trying to get to the bottom of it. But yes, he has already confessed in court that he's given it to somebody without informing the court that who is the person who he sold it to. So there are all possibilities that he could have sold it or he could not have sold it. But yes, the sword after 20 years has resurrected again. And it has again become a controversy. Tipu otherwise is the controversy in this country.
Exactly. Tipu Sultan over the years has been controversial, especially in Karnataka politics for multiple reasons. But now you have the Tipu Sultan sword making headlines all over again. Brijesh, let me come to you. Why are we talking about what an individual may or may not have owned? Why are we talking about an auction? This is not something we routinely debate on a show. The reason that we are talking about this, the reason why it is important is very simple. The man who once acquired this sword owes Indian banks and taxpayers 9,000 crore rupees. And now we are told that this sword has been auctioned for 145 crore. We don't know who the seller is. We don't know who the buyer is. Do you not believe that this is something that needs to be investigated by the government of India?
Well, absolutely. And I guess it will be investigated either by the government of India or one of these, publications would definitely want to investigate and try to find out, what exactly, who exactly is the buyer. I mean, the auctioneering house will definitely want to keep the identity a secret, as their want is. But the fact of the matter is that, it looks like that, the sword which was considered unlucky, it still was with Vijay Mallya, that it has proved extraordinarily lucky. Imagine, from 1.5 crores to 145 crores. It's a massive jump. And chances of Vijay Mallya himself profiting from this auction is also very high, because, 1.5 crore sword, how much price would you have gotten back at that point of time? And there's no clear-cut sequence of events which shows that he has actually lost the sword. He says it brings bad luck. We are yet to know whether the sword brings the bad luck or series of bad decisions taken by him. One day he finally decided to left the country, never to come back. So I think, a lot needs to be investigated, and I guess people will be questioning, or people will try to find out exactly, who is the seller of this sword. Because if it is Vijay Mallya, then the government of India, those banks who are, already locked in a litigation with Vijay Mallya in London, they would definitely want to move the court and would want those 145 crore rupees minus, the money which the auctioning house takes to be confiscated, to be, kept in the account, to be free, so that, they can get their cut before it goes to Vijay Mallya's kitty.